And we are live. Good evening on this Monday evening. And we are from Mississippi Family Homestead. And we're trying to bring you a nightly homesteading Q&A or chat live stream. So, we started last week and we're trying to continue and try to invite you to drop a note in the chat if you've got any comments or anything to add. Tonight, as it gets cold, we're talking about keeping those chickens warm. But, we talked a little about that last week, but we're going to talk about it more tonight, and especially about feeding those chickens the right thing.
Yeah, so it gets you need it kind of gets hard sometimes in the wintertime to make sure they're getting the right nutrition and the right food to eat. So they they're more cold hardy than most people think, but they do need the right nutrition in the wintertime in order to get the right nutrients and the things that they need in the wintertime to stay warm and to have energy and to lay those eggs mainly.
Yeah. So as winter gets here, tell us kind of overall how that affects the chickens.
Yeah, so there's a lot of stress sometimes, especially if you live up north where it really, gets cold. It's hard, to keep those chickens warm and fed sometimes in the wintertime. And so there's stress. If they have wind chill or damp bedding, they could have some overcrowding. There's predators in the wintertime a lot of times because those predators aren't able to find the food that they need, so therefore they target your chickens in the wintertime. So that's one stress that can affect them, and they need good winter feeding so they can have a good immune system, so it keeps them from getting sick. If you have a lot of damp air and your bedding's damp, that can make them sick in the wintertime.
So is there anything else that kind of stresses them out about the wintertime?
Um, if they get weak, they can get mites. The mites are looking for a place warm to get in the wintertime, so they target your chickens also. It actually kind of becomes worse in the wintertime, for those mites and bugs to attack them because they're looking for a warm place to kind of hibernate during the wintertime.
And but also, if you we'd like to invite you to subscribe, and if you've got any questions, you want to add something you do during the wintertime for your chickens as far as food, let us know in that chat. So, what are some of the basics of feeding chickens in the winter? Do they have like a base food or anything that's different in the winter?
Well, there's some things that you need to do a little bit more in the wintertime, but they always need their base food, which is their layer pellets or their layer crumbles. And they need some calcium, which they need that in the summertime too. So you need to add some oyster shells, or they can eat their own eggshells, and that gives them the calcium that they need. But the base thing is to make sure that you're feeding them their actual layer pellets and their crumbles, have a good supply of that they don't run out of their food. So that's their base food.
Now, I know you've got a difference between their needs on protein and energy, and they're two separate things. So,
Yeah.
What's the difference there, and what's the food difference?
Okay, so protein, really they need that so their feathers can regrow. A lot of times when it's fall time, they lose their feathers and they're still molting sometimes when it gets, starts getting cold. So they need that extra protein to grow back their feathers and for their egg production. Now their energy levels, they get that from calories. So the more calories they eat, the more that their energy level is, and they also need that energy to keep warm in the wintertime.
And by the way, again, if you're just joining us, don't forget to leave a comment. If you've got a comment, just say hello if you can.
Yeah.
Don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you've got any questions, anything to add about feeding your chickens in the winter, some things you do different, let us know in those comments. So, we love to give our chickens treats. And by the way, on our live cam, on the Silky cam,
Yeah, we feed
you can
them.
type a little code in there and drop some treats down. But what type of treats can they have?
Okay, so they need some scratch grains and some corn. So you can buy, I think it's called 5 grain scratch. And if you buy that farm, that's kind of a supplement to their layer feed. But you don't want to give that to them all the time. That kind of just needs to be given to them as extra. Even in the summertime, if your chickens are not free range, they need that extra grain in the summertime too. But also in the winter, they need some of that extra grain. It usually just consists of some corn, some barley, and some wheat, things like that. Sunflower seeds, that's usually all mixed up in that 5 grain scratch, and that just gives them a little bit more nutrients to work with. Now a lot of people will tell you, well, their layer crumbles or their layer pellets have everything that they need, but I really don't think it does. I think they need that extra little pep that it gives them to eat some scratch grains and stuff in the wintertime.
So you're ready to give them those treats. So when is the good time to give them those treats? Is there a
Okay.
certain time that's
Yeah.
better than others?
Yeah, so usually in the late afternoon, give them those treats, and that way they have that extra energy and nutrients to stay warm throughout the night. It's usually colder at night, so they need that extra energy at night while they're roosting.
All right. So can they have too many treats?
Yes,
Can
they
they
can.
overdose from treats?
Yes, they can overdose, and it can make them sick. Really, if you feed them too much treats, they can get fat and lazy and not have good egg production. So you don't want that. You want to make sure that you're actually making sure that they get enough exercise by adding some roosting bars, things like that. Maybe give them some toys to play with, and that helps them, in the wintertime as well as the summer, to give them something to do. You don't want them to be bored, especially if they're not free range. They need something to do. And you feed them too many treats, they will get fat, and then they won't lay eggs for you.
And so you've got a cold day coming up, colder than normal. And down here in the South, you'll have a lot of day, you'll go through some fairly cool and then it'll get real cold. So
Yeah.
is there anything you could feed them to kind of different to maybe warm them up on that cold day that they're a little colder than they're going to be during the week?
So if you'll get some warm water, almost hot water, because by the time you feed it to them, it's going to be cooled off, and put just their layer pellets in there and add some water to it and add some protein like your mealworms or some sunflower seeds, or add a little bit of scratch to that. Kind of mix that up and let it make a mash, and that warms them up. They love it. They don't realize that they're actually just eating their regular crumbles or their regular layer pellets. They think that it's just the best thing ever. At least mine do. When I feed them that mash, I mash it up for them and I give it to them, and they just think that's wonderful. Especially if you mix you in some mealworms, that kind of adds that protein to it, and they can smell those mealworms. So
They know when you're coming with those, don't they?
Yes, they do. They love the mealworms.
All right. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we invite you to use that chat. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there's something that you do different with your chickens in the wintertime. We're talking about what you should feed your chickens in the winter, what helps them out, what keeps them warm, because I know up north you've been getting some colder days and nights, and we're just starting to get that down here in central Mississippi. So let us know what you think. So what are some examples of high energy and high protein treats?
Okay, so, and one other thing I want to say about that warm mash, if you'll feed that to them in the early morning, once they get up and get out and about, that kind of warms them up in the morning time, just like we do when we drink coffee or hot tea. They're drinking that, they're not drinking, but they're eating that warm food, and that helps them warm them up in the morning times, just like we would if we're drinking coffee or something. That really helps them. just also be careful. Don't feed them too much of that mash so they don't eat it, because it can kind of sit there and get moldy and yucky, and that will make them sick if they eat that later, in the afternoon or something. So don't feed them too much of that. Just feed them enough to warm them up, and that'll help them. But as far as the high energy and the high protein treats, the high energy and high protein treats would be sunflower seeds, your mealworms or your soldier larva, fly larva. I think they have two different mixes. The mealworms cost a little bit more than the fly larva does. I don't know why. It's kind of the same thing. They're all worms. Maybe cost more for mealworms. I don't know. I don't know why those cost more, but they do. But to me, they're both the same thing. They give the chicken the same amount of protein. I don't think there's anything different about it. And also, you can, if you're getting extra eggs, scramble them some eggs. That provides great protein for your chickens.
A lot of people, I don't think, realize that you can give your chickens eggs.
Yeah.
You don't give them a raw egg, because then they'll get used to eating those eggs.
Yeah, but you give them some scrambled eggs. They love that. You just, you don't add anything to it. Just kind of scramble it up, and you can mix that actually in your warm mash if you want to, and that helps them, to have that protein that they need. And meat scraps. A lot of people don't know, chickens are they're herbivores. They are carnivores. They'll eat any kind of fly or cricket. If you'd see them, if a cricket gets in their pen, they're after that thing. Or a grasshopper. No, it doesn't. They love that. They'll chase flies. They eat flies, anything like that. So they actually will eat meat scraps.
Now, in the South, I don't know if any of you are in the South, we've had these ladybug-looking things. Asian beetles is what they're called.
Yeah.
Do they eat those too?
Well, I don't know. I didn't see them really eating a whole lot of those. But the thing about chickens they don't really have taste buds like we do. They can't taste hot. So, like, how the ladybugs kind of have that smell to them? Mm-hmm. I don't think they would be able to taste, that smell that they have. Chickens can eat pepper. If you didn't know that, they can eat hot pepper, and it doesn't affect them. They don't. It doesn't bother them at all for them to eat hot pepper. And some people feed them peppercorns, but it doesn't hurt them. But I don't know if they eat those ladybugs or not. I didn't happen to see them.
There's plenty of them to eat. So
yeah,
I don't think they're eating enough.
I hope they're gone.
I don't know,
because they're ridiculous.
Yeah, I hope they're dying down. But
yeah.
In Mississippi, there has been this invasion of these. They look like a ladybug, but they're mean.
Yeah,
they're called Asian
lady beetles.
Lady beetles.
Yes,
is that what they're called?
Yeah, lady beetles.
And they smell bad.
And they bite.
They're just awful.
Yeah, they were all over our house and everywhere, but I don't know. I didn't notice if they ate those or not. Mine are kind of cooped up in their chicken pen, and I don't know.
We do have some free ranging.
Yeah, so. I didn't notice. I know that our free range ones eat every other kind of bug that they see. So maybe they did eat some of them, but it didn't put a big dent in them because they're still here. Really, it's cold, but now those lady beetles are trying to get in the house, and they're flying around in the house. It's awful. But
you leave the door open, they'll get in.
Yeah. But anyway, back to the chickens. They can eat meat. They can eat meat scraps, any type of meat, as long as it's cooked. Don't feed them any raw meat. But if they'll eat chicken. Chicken's eating chicken, But if you cut, just chop that chicken up real fine, or, anything that's cooked, any kind of meat that's cooked, they can have that, and they actually eat it, and that'll provide their protein for them.
Speaking of that, can you feed them table scraps too?
Yes, you can feed them table scraps. You just need to be careful about what you feed them as far as table scraps. Remember, they're not supposed to have potatoes or any night vegetable. I think that includes turnip, the root of the turnips. They can have the greens on the top of the turnips. They just don't need anything like that. But anything like cooked rice, pasta, anything that you've got left over, they will eat that.
So they can eat pasta?
Yes.
Really?
You think of, you feed scraps to pigs. A lot of people do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pigs eat anything.
Yeah,
don't they?
pigs will eat anything. Well, so will chickens. They love table scraps.
So do I.
Yeah, we all do. So, oats, like oatmeal, if it's plain oatmeal, they love that. So, you can feed them anything like that. Just don't feed them anything spoiled. I mean, you don't want to feed them something that's been in the refrigerator for like 2 weeks and then go feed it to them. You want it to be fresh. Like anything that you would eat leftover, they could eat leftover. Just not nothing old.
Well, with it getting cold, all right, we talked about their food, but something else they have to have, that's water. Do you add anything to the water? Do you do anything different?
You don't have to do anything different. Just as you do in the summertime, you can add some nutrients. It's electrolytes, is what it's called. They have little packets or a big thing of electrolytes, and you can add that to their water. A lot of times in the wintertime up north, I know they make heaters for their water where, it'll heat it up so it doesn't freeze. And another thing to remember is if it is going to freeze, make sure that it's not frozen during the day. You need to go out there and you need to change it out if it's frozen. They need that water just like they do in the summertime. They need it just as much in the summertime as they do in the wintertime. It shouldn't be out there frozen where they can't get to it and get, that hydration.
Yeah, you've really got, when it starts freezing, you've got to stay on top of it and keep watching for your water to make sure the water's not frozen because, you can go unfreeze it in the morning. If it's real cold, a few hours, it's going to
Yeah.
freeze. So you might have to just keep working that water, a little bit.
Now, I know what I've done in the past. If it's going to be freezing all day, I'll take their actual water and put it inside their roosting area.
Mm-hmm.
And that'll keep it from freezing so bad.
Okay. Can you
So-
put like a hot water bottle in there or something, or would that freeze
Yeah,
real
that
quick?
that might freeze. Well, it'll help it, at least not to freeze as
Yeah.
fast. Down here we don't have quite as cold as it is up north. But if you live up north, let us know in the comments what you do to help, keep your chickens' water from freezing during the wintertime. We'd love to hear about that.
And I know in some areas you've got to put a heater on it. We really don't get that cold here we do get a few weeks of, straight freezing weather, but up north I know you have to put something in there to keep it warm, all the time, or you're going to just have a block of ice.
Right. So what I do, if it's frozen at night, I'll go out early in the morning and I'll take me just a gallon of hot water and I'll pour it over their water that's already in there. And then they have little troughs that they drink out of for me. Some people don't use those, but I do. And I pour that hot water over the top of those little troughs that they drink out of, and that unfreezes the water so they can drink it. Usually it's not frozen all the way through, so that hot water immediately thaws it and it's okay. And here in Mississippi, it usually warms up during the day, so I don't really have to worry about it freezing, during the day. But that's what I do in the morning times is I'll go out there and just thaw that, that water with the hot water. That's what I do.
So again, go over a few of the basic points. If you're just joining us, we're talking about how to keep those chickens warm in the wintertime with your food and different things to feed them. So if somebody's just joining us,
Yeah. So some points to get to. There's some things that you can feed them. They do need grit, if y'all don't know that. Any bird has a crawl, and they have to have grit to break that food up in their crawl.
is that where that saying comes from? That gets right in my crawl.
I guess it. I think so. Maybe
You
so.
haven't heard that saying?
Yes, I heard that saying. So
Is that a Southern saying?
Maybe it is. I don't know.
It's right in my crawl. Sorry.
So they need the little pieces of grit to break up their food. And they eat grit or little bitty rocks, and it goes in their crawl and it helps break up their food. So if your chickens don't free range and they kind of have a floor in their area where they're at, you want to give them some grit so they can break up that food. And
You don't want something stuck in your crawl.
no,
I guess that's where it came
I
from.
think it is.
I'm sorry.
And I mean, like when you you're cooking a whole chicken when you buy one, you know, it comes with all the little giblets in there, and that's part of it. Like it's called a gizzard, is after it goes through their crawl and down, they have a gizzard, and you actually have that in those little bags that you get, like if you get a turkey or a chicken. Yeah, that's what that is. This is a gizzard in there.
What do you do with it?
Well, you put it in giblet gravy for the dressing for Thanksgiving, I guess. That's what I do with it.
They don't sell those at Popeyes, do they?
No. They sell livers, you know, chicken livers.
Do they?
Yeah.
Not at Popeyes.
Do they not?
Well, I don't know. They might.
I don't know.
think they do.
Okay.
I don't know.
I don't know where you can buy livers. Like, does any restaurant sell chicken livers?
I think the buffet style ones do. I
Do
don't
they
know.
really?
I don't know
Okay.
about a fast food.
I don't
I'm not
either.
sure I'd want a fast food liver.
No, me neither.
So, all right. Last week we talked about. I'm going to put you on the spot. Last week we talked about chickens not laying eggs, and you've got almost 30 chickens,
Yeah.
and we haven't had that many. We haven't had 30 eggs. I know some of them are roosters. So, how are we going on that?
So I've been feeding them the warm mash and the scratch grains and stuff, but I haven't been as consistent with that as I should be. So
She's saying it's her fault.
yeah,
that
it's
they're
probably
not laying
is.
eggs.
Yeah, it's probably my fault. So I haven't been as consistent with them as I should be, and they're actually still not laying the eggs. I think I fed them the extra mash and stuff, and it helped for like one day after I fed it to them, and they laid more eggs. But I need to be consistent with that and feed them that more. Another thing that you need to remember is that extra calcium, like the oyster shells or the crushed egg shells, is the extra calcium that they need to have. And maybe if you're seeing that they're kind of listless and kind of looking like they're cold, you can add some electrolytes to their water or some vitamins to their water in the wintertime also.
Okay, so have we had any more eggs? I don't know that you answered that question.
No,
have we had
I
any
said
more eggs?
no. One day
Okay.
we had more eggs, but the silkies are laying.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the silkies have been laying like they're supposed to, but maybe it's just because they just started laying. I don't know. But the silkies started laying eggs. We have had silky eggs, just not.
By the way, you got to watch your hand gestures because there's some gesture you do and that camera just goes wide open.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
don't know what.
Why
I'll have
did
to
it
look
do
at-
that?
I don't. It's this AI camera, and when you do a certain gesture with your hand, it just goes way out, and everybody
God,
sees
I
all the
don't-
mess around us.
Yeah, so I don't need to do the hands that way.
not until we turn that
What did
feature
I
off.
do? What did I do?
I have no idea.
I
I
don't
just know
either.
that it does it when you're moving your hands.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. Anyway, this is going to be our our weekly night live stream. We're aiming towards homesteaders, especially homesteaders that are just starting or just thinking about starting. And if you're just thinking about doing that first step, like raising chickens, that's one of the things that Tina's been doing for pretty long time. She's grew up raising chickens, and now that we moved back to the farm, she's raising chickens. And so if you're looking at starting to get into homesteading, then hopefully you'll join us when you see a topic you like, and we'll talk about it. Or if you want to talk about a different topic, let us know in the chat, and we'll talk about that. So we're going to try to do this at 7:30 every weeknight, and we invite you to join us each weeknight if you can, and let us know or watch on the replay. So tomorrow night we're
What are
going
we
to
doing
talk.
tomorrow night?
We're going to talk about questions to ask before you start homesteading. So if you're thinking of starting homesteading, maybe you're thinking about starting homesteading for the new year, then we're going to go over some questions that we see being asked, and answer those. And if you have any questions, just let us know in the chat. So, we also invite you to, if you're, interested in chickens, you can watch our live cam that we stream every day. It's in the Silky coop right now, and you can see our silkies. And by the way, we had somebody notice that we had a little too many roosters in there today. So
Yeah,
we
yeah,
are
we
looking
are
at getting rid
looking
of.
at getting rid of the roosters. They are getting a little aggressive. They're 5 months, 5 or 6 months
I
old
think they're
now.
about 5 months. I
Yeah.
noticed one of them was, it was time for them to go in, and some of them went in, and he chased everybody out to
He
the
didn't want
coop.
everybody in there.
Yeah, it wasn't time.
It wasn't
So
time to go
they
to
get
bed.
aggressive, but
Yeah. So we are. I am gonna try to get rid of some of those by selling them. We try not to kill our chickens because I don't like doing that. So I try to find a good home for them. So I'm trying to get rid of
and
those
we don't
roosters.
even kill the mean roosters,
Yeah, we don't.
unfortunately.
Yeah,
You know?
it's hard for me.
Yeah.
I just can't do it.
So if you're in our area and want a silky rooster,
Yeah,
let
we'd
us
be
know.
glad to give
Yeah,
it
let
to
us know in the chat. So, but we'll be back tomorrow talking about the most questions asked for if you're starting homesteading. We invite you to join us. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe. And thanks for joining us tonight. We'll see you tomorrow night.